All right, I'm here with my independent study student, Brooks Ahmed, and he just did a project over the course of the summer, and I'm going to have him walk through that. Now, what is the project that you did, and how did it come about?
The project that I did is a mobile application that is used to track food consumption and food waste at a restaurant, particularly Capers Mediterranean Buffet, what I chose to do it over, and it's a mobile application that was developed with HTML5 and JavaScript and can be used to run on mobile devices as well as iPads and tablets.
Okay, and how did this project come about?
It started off with business systems and analysis and design class I took last spring, and for that class we were supposed to analyze a business's process and how to improve it, and we chose to do Capers Mediterranean Buffet for that class as part of that project. And one thing that we found is they were having trouble monitoring their food production, and they were having high cost and food waste, throwing out a lot of food at the end of the night. So we spent the semester analyzing that, and for this project I wanted to take what I learned in that class as far as recognizing the problem and use that to develop a solution.
Okay, and could you then walk me through what it is that you built?
Sure. Okay. Okay, right here is the food monitoring system that I built, and like I said earlier, it's going to be used. We designed it to run on a mobile application or iPhone, iPad, and so this is run off of a PC, of course, and the mouse. But when you run this on the other devices, it's going to be all touchscreen. But so here you have your home screen, the food monitoring system, and you have the three options: food produced, food wasted, and reports. So when you go to food produced, you have three different categories, and here's the drop-down menu, and it has all the items that Capers serves, and I believe there's 42 different items. And so when you access the drop-down menu, you can select one of them. So we'll choose hummus. And the second category is produced in trays. So every time that an item is prepared, you make different trays, and you can make as many as you want, but normally they don't ever go above 8. I just went up to 15 just to be safe. So say they produced 5 trays for the day, and it was today, July 22nd, 2013. Gonna hit submit, and we can do the same thing for food wasted. You go to, this time we'll choose a different item. We'll choose the baklava, and choose that. And waste, it's in pounds and ounces. So the first category is pounds. We can say they wasted 2 pounds, and let's go with 6 ounces. Same thing today. It was recorded for today, July 22nd. Submit. And table waste.
We had a bug. All right, we'll fix that later.
All right. And when you go off reports, the same thing. When you go to check out the reports, the first one we chose was hummus, and it shows 5 trays. In the application, we have an array that takes the tray, the weight from each tray, and multiplies it by the number of trays. So here's the calculation of the weight times the 5 trays, and it's listed for today's date. And you have a back button, previous button, you can go back, and you also have an option to go to the food wasted report. And here is the same thing, but this time it's, like we said, we have a bug, and we're going to work on fixing that. But it has it for the correct date too.
Okay, cool. And so prior to developing this, you put together a mock-up of this. Could you show me that?
Sure. This is a slideshow. This is what the mock-ups what I originally designed. I wanted to have, to food produced, food waste, and reports button. And we went through and had a date that was a standard date, and sections divided into sections of the restaurant. And right here within each section you have a list of all the items in that section with a graphic next to it that would display what item it is, and then the input box to where you enter how much is produced. And here it's just showing, similar to what I did in the final application, a menu that lets you choose how much trays are produced, and it went into half a tray to a tray, increments like that. And then it shows saved, and then it shows that it was produced, and a little message box that would pop up that say food produced for that date has been saved to reports. With the current application, I don't have anything that says that it's saved, but as soon as you hit the save button, it goes back to the previous page, so you know that it has been saved into the database. And the food waste is the same, pretty much the same thing. You know, this has been saved to reports.
And so in the initial design, it looks a little different than what happened at the end. And so why did there end up being a difference between what was in your mock-ups and what was in the final product?
It became necessary for me to go a different route to make it more usable, to avoid complications, running into complications later, to keep it kind of as simple as possible initially, and use what I had learned in the book, the JavaScript, building Android apps with JavaScript and HTML, using what I've learned in that book to go to creating my application based on the mock-ups.
Yep. All right, and then I've got a phone sitting out there, and we have it running on the phone. It's a little bit... so we could have done a little bit more. Actually, would you mind holding that? So we could have done a little bit more in terms of making it run as a native app on these devices, but it does run on the iPad, which I'm recording with right now, which would have been an ideal device to view the app running on. But I also have this running on this. We also have it running on this Android phone right here, and so we want to just click on a couple of the buttons on there just so we can see it moving through a little bit.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and click on the food wasted, or food produced. I'm sorry. And here you can see it's the same thing. It's on a mobile device. This time it's an Android app, and you can go through and select which item you want. We'll choose the falafel, and here you can scroll and get the number of trays produced. We'll say 6.5, and the date, again, we'll just leave it for today, and then submit, and then go to reports and click on food produced, and
French something there. French Madeleines must have been which.
French Madeleines, yeah. And if you change the orientation, I believe it would display everything.
Okay, one other thing that I just thought to ask you about is, could you describe, on the back end, what goes into making this application?
Okay, what goes into making this application is it's an HTML file created, and you're pulling different scripts from the files, and here we have a JavaScript file that's pulled. The source code is pulled online, and here as well a JavaScript file that's pulled from online, and this is a JavaScript file that I created that's in the folder that contains a lot of the styling and the functions that are within it.
And what do the jQuery files do, and what if they're gone? What happens?
If they're gone, then the application will look just like a regular web page. Mm-hmm. with bullets and however have it with the list, as you can see here. It'll just look like a regular web page.
But with it, what does it look like then?
With it looks completely different, and looks how I was showing earlier, with the different features and the panels and the menus and the way it's set up.
like a native phone phone or iPad application then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, and then so kind of quick, if you could, just not in too much time, but just review what's in the file.
Okay. I'll just go through real quick. This is it's just divided into different pages. The HTML is real brief. You have your home page, your reports page, and the add food. We'll skip down to this add food because this is kind of interesting. You have all the different food items that they serve at Capers with an option value that's stored, and this value later on in the JavaScript is pulled up and assigned a name through an array. But this is one menu where you select the item, and then it's down here is the quantity and the date that's selected, and the submit button. And this same thing is typed up again for the weight. So you have the same thing. You have the items listed. You have the quantity. Here we added a separate quantity because it was for ounces, and different from the reports pages. The only thing the HTML is doing here is it's pulling it from the JavaScript.
Okay, and can you show me your custom JavaScript file and tell us a little bit about that? What was maybe interesting or challenging about it?
Sure. This is a custom JavaScript file I named monitoring. It sets up. I set it up a new array, a food array for all the different items. Like I said earlier, those items were assigned values 1, 2, 3. So I took those values, put them in there, and assigned them the actual names that they are. So that way, later on, down at the bottom of the code, I take the food array and I use it to list each item. But it's still stored in the database as the value. And here I have a separate array. This is for the food weight. Each item, I had to go to the restaurant one morning and weigh each item and get the total weight of it, because when I interviewed a chef out at Riverwind Casino, it was proper to get the weight of each item so you know how much it is before it's put out on the buffet. So that's what this is here. This is the weight of each item, and it's in pounds. And so that's another array that assigns that weight to the item. And here, just, a lot of the common JavaScript code for creating databases. Here I created two separate ones for the two entities, food produced and food wasted, and the different columns in each of them. And I'm going to go through this kind of quick. And here a function that gets the current date and puts it in the proper format. And this is when you click on the save button. When you click on the submit button, this is the function that gets ran. It's pulling the item, the quantity, and the date, and it's assigning it to these variables, which later on these variables are used to display in the reports. And that's the same thing used for the food wasted. It's pulling the same variables from the HTML page that the user inputs. It's assigning them these new variables, and it's displayed in the reports page. And here's the reports page that I have. And SQL statements are used to organize the reports page. So you're selecting all it, you're ordering by the item and by the date descending. One thing we wanted to do is to make this app useful for the restaurants to be able to track their food waste over time. So we're starting with the most current date, and then the dates are descending. And that is pretty much it. The last functions we have are the delete buttons that are on the right side. So if you want to get rid of one of the reports in there, you can just click on that delete button, and this function will execute and it'll delete it.
All right, great, thanks.